Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen.
And
There, Michael Cohen. This is Thanksgiving, and I'm on daddy duty right now. This is my time to shine. Jimena's mom is going to be back very soon, but she
well,
got
one thing
such
I
a
promise is that I will curb my language. Hi, sweetheart.
topic. Say hello, Jimena, to everybody who's watching.
You are so cute.
We've got a lot to discuss today, Cohen, and it's kind of where do we begin? I mean, you have the media talking about, that Ukraine agreed to this big peace deal today, but then when you actually look at it, no one agreed to really anything at all. It was some Trump administration official who was making this announcement. And,
Well, did you see my Substack of this morning, Ben? I mean, that's actually the topic on it. Not only did we find out that peace plan, or whatever you want to call it, was actually hashed out while Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff were in Miami with Dmitriev over food, that they hashed out this, and that Marco Rubio didn't even find out about it until after it was leaked by the news. I mean, what kind of diplomacy is this so I called it, a peace plan over a piece of pie. This is not a joke. I mean, if this wasn't so funny, right? It would be on Saturday Night Live. I mean, it's scary for the rest of us because you're talking about creating a peace plan, Ben, that is going to reshape all of Eastern Europe.
Look, and you have perspective on this because you knew Witkoff pretty well.
Yeah.
And you know that this is never his area. He's got no foreign policy experience. He is a real estate guy who was in that, community with Donald Trump. Witkoff's son is involved in that business deal, World Liberty Financial, with the Trump kids, where a lot of foreign interests are investing in. And, Witkoff has taken a number of trips over to Russia. I'm not sure if you saw this, but earlier today, Bloomberg published a piece, and Bloomberg showed the conversations between Witkoff and a Russian counterpart. And Witkoff was basically coaching like an intermediate, just like an intermediary rooting for Putin. Like, here's what you got to do in the meeting. Here's how I think this is going to go great. And the whole thing too, I saw someone say this. It's like, first off, it seems that the U.S. is acting as pro-Russia, laundering the Russian plan, basically translating it into an English. Regardless, the U.S. shouldn't even be a neutral arbiter. Like, we shouldn't be neutral in this at all. We should be pro-Ukraine,
yes,
and pro-NATO. And so we're not some just regular intermediary mediator, even if you take the most generous understanding of what this is. And while I saw ABC and CBS, Cohen, they all were reporting Ukraine agrees to this. I'm like, well, Russia doesn't agree to this. Russia agrees to their propaganda plan. That's the one that they agreed to. And then if you saw what happened last night in Kyiv, I mean, there were 200, ballistic missiles and drones that rained down on Kyiv. At least 9 people were 22 missiles, 460 drones, just so we're actually specific. And hundreds of drones happening every week there, residential areas. When Ukraine is striking into Russia, they're striking power lines, utilities, cargo, not people, right? In the opposite side, when Russia's doing it, they're hitting supermarkets, residential neighborhoods.
Yeah, commercial warehouses, so as to inflict as much pain on the civilian population, to put them in apprehension and fear. Ben, I opened up my Substack article, and by the way, you guys with the thumbnails are beyond. Midas Touch Network takes thumbnails and they put it onto my articles almost every day. This one is just spectacular as well. But I started off by saying in the subtitle, when loyalty, and I want everybody here to comment on this. What happens, right, when loyalty replaces expertise? You don't get diplomacy. You get a Miami-made surrender plan that shocks allies, delights Putin, and proves Trump's team can't negotiate their way out of a salad. This is honestly where we're at right now. This is out of control. The notion that Jared Kushner, who only days before was picking up another $1 billion from Mohammed bin Salman, is there with Steve Witkoff in Miami, engaging in private conversation with Putin's guy only, right? Putin's guy only. Ukraine wasn't even involved in it. They come up with a 28-point plan that, as Ben just said, I know, Ben, your daughter is stealing the show. I'm feeling, hold on. I almost feel like in order to sort of get some eyes on me, I may have to like take my
This right here is like kind of the Harlem Globetrotters of podcasting right now.
Is the cutest.
I'm trying to do a lot of things at once right now.
And I'm saying to myself, this is out of control, right? Where there is no two-finger salute while that child is sitting there. This I promise. We'll give it a two pinky down salute today. Suffice it to say, this is not a joke. When you don't even have the Ukrainian counterpart sitting at the table on what is not a peace deal, it is a capitulation. It is a surrender. And this is beyond ridiculous. This is not diplomacy by any stretch of the imagination. And none of us should for a second, not even for a second, accept this. We should all be contacting our members of Congress, our senators, and so on. This is truly not a joke, because you know what we know, Ben? You know what we know? We know that Russia does not intend to stop if and when they think they're going to take over Ukraine. They're going to go right into Poland, go into the Baltics, and try to reassemble the former Soviet Union. And you know who's going to get hurt the most? Your precious little thing sitting on your lap.
Well, let's talk about
our future generations.
And that really dawned on me, because as I was recording the video I did on Trump's Thanksgiving pardon, of the turkeys, I thought to myself, that's something that I would normally want to watch with my baby girl, that I would want to see those, it should be a wholesome activity. I could show her the president of the United States, and what the president is. And instead, one of the things we had to, I couldn't show it to her because you had Donald Trump out there doing the things that he was doing, and he was calling Pritzker a fat slob, and it was really, it was really rough to watch that, and thinking to myself, how could I possibly ever have this cutie over here watch that, and it was a sad thing.
And it's a shame. By the way, something that I would have recommended for the president to do while you're busy pardoning the two turkeys, what he should also do is, something I've been working on with Jesse Jackson Jr. for the better part of a year and a half now. How about pardon the 70 million Americans, nonviolent, that have already finished their sentence, that have already paid all of their restitution? How about pardoning them so that we can all get a life back, that you can start getting your bank accounts back, and you can start, living like a human being? Because one thing for certain, the judge, when they gave you a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the sentence is for this nonviolent offense, whatever it is, they never turned around and said that you need to be a felon for life.
As I was watching the pardoning of the turkey, and Trump was attacking Pritzker, talking about sending the National Guard to invade, other states, talking about the auto pen, mocking former President Biden. If you've been following all the stats, and if you've been following all of the data right now, you see that Trump's approval, though, is declining in really massive ways, Cohen. And you and I had been following this trajectory for some time, but there was a map that I saw recently, and it was from The Economist's tracking. And even in some deep red states, and people see here Texas, you see Florida. The red, by the way, it may be a jarring map for some to see, like California looking red like that, but it shows where Trump is underwater. And in all of these red areas like Texas and Florida, he's underwater 5 points, 10 points. And especially now as we look to Thanksgiving and we see all of the promises not just broken by Donald Trump, but affirmatively fraud, the fraud that was done. I'm going to do this on day one. I'm going to do that on day one. And while he was there doing the turkey part, and he was still lying and saying gas is about to be at $2. It's never been cheaper. Like, gas is basically the same price it was last year, Cohen.
So it's funny that you say
1
that, because
cent
they
less
had
now.
that. It's 1 cent down. It was last year, it was $3.07. Now it's $3.06. It's down 0.05%. I mean, let's get real here. All right. When they start telling you that everything is down, energy is down, electricity is down, they keep going back to eggs. Can we talk about that? Can we explain exactly why the price of eggs right now is down like 50%, which is true? It's true. But the reason that it's down 50% is not because of anything this administration has done. There was a bird flu, which wiped out something like 20 million egg producing chickens. So, okay. All right. They had to destroy them because of this bird flu. Well, now the population has increased and they are back producing a large quantity of eggs. It's just that simple. So when they sit there and they tell you that this has to, this now has to be a, thank you to this administration. How about no? How about let's talk about electricity. Is anybody gotten a cheaper electric bill from Con Ed? I know I haven't. Okay, gasoline, relatively the same price as it was almost a year ago. Okay, fine. Food, off the chart. Anywhere from like 25% to almost 80%. When you start turning around and you were paying, for example, because this is math, when you're paying, say, $10 for coffee, and now you're paying 20, just imagine your cost on that has doubled. And this nonsense, this absolute nonsense as it relates to the tariffs that are being paid for by the country of origin, why can't we just turn around and stop them from promoting this lie day in and day out, day in and day out? They could repeat the lie as often as they want. The lie is never, not as long as Midas Touch Network is out there, not as long as Michael Cohen is out there yelling like a maniac. All right. We will never let the lie become the truth.
When you look at the price of everything in the aggregate too, I mean, you're talking about substantial increases in general. Like, objectively going into this Thanksgiving, like, we know that prices are more. I don't need somebody to lie to me. I've gone to the supermarket. I see what it costs to buy this, that, and the other. It was substantially more this year than last year. And that's pretty much everything in the aggregate. And while you have all of that happening as well, you look across the country at, the types of things that the Trump regime is focused on. So we know about the horrible economy, but then you're like, well, what are they actually doing? Or what are they not doing? And you hear the story about the Coast Guard, right? And again, I sit here with my little baby on my lap here, and I think, so while the American people are suffering, is Trump rolling out a healthcare plan? He faked rolled out one yesterday, said he was going to, but then ultimately didn't do it because he got pressure by all the MAGA Republicans saying, you can't extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies or else we're all going to do a mass resignation. That they were going to leave if he announced and quit in the House of Representatives and turn the speakership over. But what are they doing? They're focused on saying that the swastika is no longer a hate symbol, and that the noose is
the noose, and
they're sitting around. They're sitting around and they're going, what's a good idea? That's a good idea.
And when he says it, all of a sudden it's like, maybe we should take the noose and we should take the swastika and the Confederate flag and say that it's not a symbol of hate, really? And then they all sit there and they're all like, my God, Mr. President, that's like the best, most powerful, incredible, I mean, just insane, amazingly insane idea that I've ever heard. This is why the American people, by a whopping majority, voted for you, sir. Sir, this is exactly why they wanted you and not Sleepy Joe or Kamala Harris in the White House, because these are important things to the average American. And good for you for having the guts and the determination and the fortitude to make it happen. Yay, right? We're all so much better off knowing that the swastika is no longer. By the way, I don't know if, Jeremy, if you have it, do you remember a while back when, Ben, you and I were doing one of our beatdown episodes? There was that regatta in Palm Beach where they were flying the swastika, and it was part of the Trump regalia. You remember that? If Jeremy, if you can find it, I mean, I would love to show. This is the problem. They're normalizing this stuff. They're normalizing it. And we can't allow this to happen. We have an obligation to, like your daughter, right? My daughter just turned 30, right? I mean, imagine that. We have an obligation to that generation and your daughter and that generation. We have an obligation to turn over the country, the world, better than the way that we took it, right? From our parents, plain and simple.
Sochi got back. So he met his mom. If everyone's wondering where'd the baby go, is she okay? Her mom just arrived, and her mom. That's what happens when you live in LA. She got caught in that LA traffic, and it was an extra. There was an accident. It took her an extra 45 minutes to get home. But that was he met everybody.
She was able to join us, because you know what? That's really what Thanksgiving is all about. Right.
I'm glad everyone got to see it.
To have each of you. I'm thankful to have Midas Touch Network as, you know, as a partner. I'm so thankful to have Ben and Brett and Jordy in my life, and Jeremy too, and Salty. I mean, what a great team, what a great group of people. You know, I was reflecting on it, because that's what you're supposed to do on Thanksgiving. Reflect, like, all the things in your life. Ben, you and I now know each other. It's almost going on 6 years.
Yeah, it's really right in the beginning of 2020 is when you and I met, right at the outset.
Yeah.
So
right.
Why a wild journey. So Jimena, who you saw, she's 14 months old. People were asking how old she is. And you saw her right there. And she loved being on the podcast, though it was definitely a little challenging to focus on a lot, and her safety comes first to be on the podcast. So, but thanks everybody for allowing that to happen and allowing me to share her with you. And I asked her mom, I said, is it okay? I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I have a live show coming up, but all good. So let me show you what went down at the G20 summit, Cohen and Beatdown Brigaders, because, you know, Donald Trump refused to show up. He boycotted the G20. He said that there was a white genocide, which is the reason that America was not going to be there, which is a total lie. It's just not true. And it's just horribly racist as well. This is the first time the G20 was on the African continent. Right here, you have this strong black leader in President Cyril Ramaphosa. And it's a big deal for South Africa, especially given their history of apartheid and everything they've been through, where they're hosting the G20 right now. Big deal. And to have the United States of America say, nope, you're doing white genocide right now, especially given the history of apartheid. And remember when we had President Ramaphosa show up in the Oval Office, and he brought with him the agriculture minister and other white people who are Afrikaners in South Africa. And one of the things Ramaphosa said, he's like, do you think that these people would be here if there was a genocide going on against them? And what they said, the agriculture secretary and the Afrikaners who were there, and as part of this kind of unity cabinet, if you will, is they said, look, there's a lot of crime in South Africa for sure. But there's crime against white farmers, there's crime against black farmers, and it's something South Africa is working on. It's also a beautiful country, as many people know who have been to South Africa. Yet Trump attacks it in that way. And it just harkens back, I feel like, to Trump's past also, and the racism that he exhibited before, but now he's dragged the United States into this right here. Yeah, no, and you're showing right there. What are you showing us?
That's the part of the Trump regatta that took place in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And again, they're normalizing things of hate.
Yeah,
the same thing, and it's so on par with what you're talking about with South Africa. We cannot allow them to normalize this. You know, there comes, and I'm telling you, Ben, your voice, my voice, this network's voice is resonating. I've never been more positive that the 2026 midterms, if we stay on course, if we continue to grow and the momentum continues in our favor, there is no doubt in my mind. If we can go back for 1 second, Jeremy, to that chart showing where Trump is underwater. All right. I want people to understand, because it's the same color as my Sharpie here. Red is, and the deep, deep, deep red, that's the one where he's the most underwater. This doesn't look like he's not underwater in what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states, something like that. I mean, this, my friends, is the part that we need to ensure votes the way we want them to vote come 2026. All right. Yeah. That's what we need, because it's the only way that we continue to survive as a democratic republic.
Because you remember when Trump would always say, under Biden or Obama or anybody not him, the world was laughing at us, which they weren't. The world really respected the United States. The United States was the leader of the free world. That's how it was viewed. Now you actually have the world both disgusted, laughing, and taking advantage of the United States and its stupidity. It's just objectively what's happening. And I don't say that with glee. I'm just an observer. When I take a look at the G20, which the United States should be the strongest country and a unifying voice in, as we always were in the past, and I see whether it's President Ramaphosa of South Africa, President Lula of Brazil, whether it's Modi of India, whether it's Stubb of Finland, regardless, you have them talking about multilateralism, cooperation. By the way, all of these international conferences, their themes, resiliency, like they're all basically themes that mock the United States leaving the international community. And we've seen that over and over again. And we saw that on display in the G20. And you even have like a Columbia economics professor, Professor Jeffrey Sachs. And, he was one of the keynote speakers speaking in front of the world leaders. And let me just show you what went down so everybody can see, like, they are literally laughing at the U.S. And watch the interpreter right here as she does the sign language for tantrum. I think it's good that we all learn the sign language for tantrum. So when Trump's having a tantrum, we know how to sign language it. Here, watch this.
Why isn't Donald Trump coming tomorrow? Because he has a 4-year-old mentality, and he's having a tantrum. He's having a tantrum. What is the tantrum? That the rest of the world says, we don't want a king. As President Lula said, we don't need an emperor. He would come here as just one of 20 leaders. Or 21. He doesn't want that. He's having a tantrum. So this rebalancing is happening. He's having a particular tantrum, by the way, because the United States is in a deeply neurotic funk. You know what the cause of that neurosis is? China. A wonderful, brilliant civilization, 4,000 years old plus. It's been a unified state with brilliant statecraft for more than 2,000 years.
Just think about that. That's what was happening.
Do you think that this woman who is doing the signing, do you think that she's ever had to use that action in any political speech that she's ever signed for in her whole entire life? Could you imagine if the guy who was up there speaking said, that he's being a fucking baby, and she's like,
right? I've seen some of the sign language at concerts before, where there's a lot of cursing and a lot of I've seen those on TikTok before. But it's a good point, Cohen. I don't know if she's ever seen that.
And imagine, imagine if you had a signer on the Air Force One when he called the reporter a piggy. I mean, we could do this shit all day long. I mean, let's be real. This is like this is like being a teacher in first grade, especially if I was one of the kids in the class. I mean, this is so absolutely ridiculous. How do you not go? I mean, this is a G20 even if you are angry for whatever the reason may be at South Africa, even if you want to make the claim, which is untrue, that there is a white genocide going on, that there's all of these problems, there's 19 other countries that are being represented that are wait for it, allies, right? I mean, I could only imagine if you had like a G10 of the worst countries in the world, North Korea, Putin, right? Russia, you had Iran, you can have, Romania, you can have, you could have Venezuela, imagine how fast Trump would end up running for one of those. But for this, with our allies, just not worth it, right?
Right. And this is at the same time, the United States is apparently getting ready to invade Venezuela to take over its oil. And that's what Trump propagandists are saying. I mean, you had Congresswoman Salazar, I think she was out there just saying that this is what we're going to do. We're going to take over the oil. Jeremy, I think we have the clip right now. If we have the clip of the Congresswoman talking about taking over the oil, let's play it.
I mean, I would love to see a change in government. My wife's from Nicaragua. We know how terribly the dictators there rely on Venezuelan oil. But at the same time, a lot of Americans don't want actual U.S. participation in regime change in Venezuela. They would much prefer the Venezuelans to do it on their own. Do you think the pressure that Maduro has received will force him to leave on his own?
Oh, I think Maduro is not Fidel Castro. Maduro is not a brave boy. So now that he has understood that he's on that very nefarious list of the terrorist organization, that the airspace above Venezuela has been closed off and the commercial airlines from the United States are not flying, he's understanding that we're about to go in. He understands that he has been our enemy for the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in, basically for three reasons. You're in Fox Business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum companies, or everything that has to do with oil and the derivatives.
Can I ask you a quick question here? Mm-hmm. Because when I saw this, I actually did on my YouTube channel, I did a whole take on this, and I started scratching my head. In fact, thanks to all of you that watch my YouTube channel, we're literally like 10,000 away from the 500,000 subscribers. This one did incredibly well. Why? I'm sitting there and I'm scratching my friggin' head, and I'm saying to myself, how stupid can this lady actually be? Representative Salazar, Maria Elvira Salazar. Does she not understand that the United States of America does not own ExxonMobil? We don't own Texaco Pennzoil, that we don't own Yukos Oil or BP or any of the other big, gigantic oil conglomerates, that they are their own companies. And yes, they might be publicly traded. So if you happen to be one of the, let's say, 8 to 10% of Americans that have stock portfolios, especially stock portfolios that include oil and gas, well, good for you. I say good for you. But she's talking as if the United States of America is in the gasoline business, right? I mean, if you listen to what she's saying, she could be the stupidest. I mean, and we have some pretty fucking stupid members of Congress, some real fucking winners. She could be the dumbest of them all. It's like she's not even talking to you. She's not talking sense. She's talking to Trump to try to make sense. Donald, over here. Hello. Yeah, look at me. Point to me. Yeah, I'm the one that's out there saying, yeah, that you should invade Venezuela because then America could take over Venezuelan oil and that it'll reduce the oil prices. Well, hold on there, genius. If that's the case, why the fuck don't we take over the oil fields in Iran? In fact, why don't we just kick the shit out of Russia too? Right? Okay. Well, okay. They have nukes. I get it. Fine. We'll leave them alone. Why not go ahead then and start going after every other country that has oil? Let's go after Saudi Arabia while we're at it. I mean, shit. We could take them over in an afternoon under Trump and Pete Hegseth, our Department of War. I mean, we're fucking tough now. We don't have any of these wimps, in the system anymore. Let's just take them all over. Let the United States of America own all the oil in the world, and then we could wipe out our debt, our $28 trillion debt, right? Our deficit. Let's just take them all over, right? I mean, think about how stupid of a comment that actually is. By the way, here's the craziest thing. The United States actually has more oil, untapped oil, right, than Russia, Iran, and Saudi Arabia combined. I think we have over 22 billion barrels of oil in this country alone. So why do we need to start a war with Venezuela? Why not? Because he thinks that that's going to what? Stop the midterm elections? Remember what you heard here.
So one of the things also is that everything's a distraction from something, I suppose. But given the dynamics where the Latino community now is like only 25% approval or 23% approval of Donald Trump. And you look in Florida where we showed that graph, and I just did a video where I interviewed a candidate who's running for Florida's 21st congressional district against Brian Mast, a MAGA Republican congressman there. The guy I interviewed is named James Martin. So one of the main reasons that we're seeing Florida flip is that the Latino population there, lots of their family members lost their temporary protected status. They've been targeted by the Trump regime's raids. Their family members are out there suffering and struggling under all the things that Trump did. Salazar was one of the people who originally said, I've done the Liberty Act, and under my Liberty Bill or my Liberty Act, Trump's only going to go after the criminals and he's only going to go after the bad guys. I promise you. And she's Cuban. Her family fled Castro. And she used to be a famous host, newscaster in the Miami, area.
I think it was on Univision.
And so she was someone who promised the community, don't worry, you're safe. Trump's guaranteed me that we've got you protected. We're just going after the criminals. And she sold out her community. So one of the things that she needs to do now in her mind is war. Because if you can do a war and you can get rid of Maduro, you can say, see, we've brought democracy back to Venezuela. This was all part of the plan. And now all of the people who are getting deported back to the Maduro regime, no more. And America controls Venezuela. So there's part of that going on there also. We've got a lot more to discuss on this episode. We have to take our first quick break of the show. A reminder, subscribe to Michael Cohen's audio podcast that's called Mea Culpa. Subscribe to Cohen's Substack by searching Michael Cohen when you open up the Substack app. Subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel. And subscribe to Political Beatdown right here on the Midas Touch YouTube channel. Let's take our first and only quick break of the show. We will be right back.
All right. Let me be honest with you. I've reached a point in my life where if a shirt isn't comfortable, I'm just not going to wear it. I don't care if it's fashion forward or European cut or approved by some celebrity stylist who never sweated in their life. If it clings in the wrong place or, I don't know, feels like sandpaper, I'm out. Which is exactly why True Classic won me over. These guys had one mission: make premium, comfortable clothing that normal human beings actually want to live in, without the designer price tag that makes you question your financial decisions. And judging by the fact that they've sold over 25 million shirts, yeah, people are into it. Like maybe we should trust them with more decisions into it. But here's what I love. True Classic isn't trying to make you look like you're stepping onto the runway. They're trying to make you look like the best version of yourself on a Tuesday morning when you're tired, you're under-decaffeinated, you're running late, and you still want to look like you've got your act together. That, my friends, is a miracle in fabric. I wear these shirts all the time. They're tailored where you actually want a shirt to fit. Shoulders, chest, then relaxed everywhere else so you're not fighting with your clothes like they're trying to escape. No bunching, no stiff fabric, no, why is this poking me? Just a clean, easy fit that makes you look put together without the effort. And now they've got something for everyone, men, women, kids. So this holiday season, instead of buying people things they'll pretend to like, give them something they'll actually use, preferably more than once. Give comfort, give confidence, give True Classic. You could find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, or just go right to trueclassic.com/beat and knock out your gift list like an adult who plans ahead. That's True Classic, TrueClassic.com/beat. Go there now. You ever have one of those days where your phone just won't shut up? The alerts, the updates, breaking news, then the follow-up to the breaking news, then the analysis that nobody asked for. At some point, even I need a break from the chaos, and that's exactly why I'm genuinely excited about IndaCloud. IndaCloud is your online cannabis dispensary, gummies, flower, pre-rolls, the whole lineup, all federally legal, THC, DEA certified, lab tested, and shipped discreet. When the world refuses to calm down, this is the one thing that actually helps your brain do it. And let me tell you about the first time I tried it. I wasn't looking to check out of reality. I just wanted one night, just one, where my mind wasn't running like a political news ticker. One gummy bear later, I did something truly shocking for a man living in 2025. I actually slept. Not scrolling, not doom reading, not let me just check one more update. Actual sleep. My brain powered down. And truth, it was beautiful. And they've got something for every type of overload. Sleep gummies for when the late night headlines start warming up. Social gummies for when debate night needs more fun and less rage. Pre-rolls for when breaking news feels like a competitive sport. And $70 ounces, which cost less than the online subscriptions that you forgot that you're still paying for. This is how you unplug without disappearing. So if you're 21 or older, go right now to indacloud.co. That's INDACLOUD.co and use code BEAT for 40% off your first order plus free shipping. It's their biggest sale of the year and it runs all month long. So one more time, that's indacloud.co, code BEAT. 40% off, free shipping, peace of mind, literally delivered right to your door. So please enjoy responsibly, and thanks to IndaCloud for sponsoring today's show.
Welcome back to Political
Classic.
Beatdown.
True Classic. Boom.
Thank you to all of those sponsors. The discount code for all of them is in the description below. Cohen, let's take a look at how the American people are feeling right now about the economy, whether they're buying what Trump is selling. So on CNN, I think Harry Enton did a pretty good job going over, do American people believe prices are surging? How do they think about the job market? What do they feel about the economy? Because Trump says we're living in a golden age. Let's play this clip if we got it up, Enton.
I mean, just your costs are up versus a year ago. Groceries, 85%. Utilities, 78%. Healthcare, 67%. Housing, 66%. Gasoline, 54%. The bottom line is this. Americans feel like prices are rising in each and every single part of their lives, rising ever climber, and they just don't feel like, Kate Baldwin, that they can catch a break.
The Treasury Secretary in new comments kind of dismissed the impact tariffs is having on inflation, also saying that prices are going to be coming down in weeks. Some other prices are going to be coming down in months. What do Americans think about that?
Yeah, they think he's full of it. That's exactly what they think. I mean, just take a look here. Tariffs raising prices right now. I'm going to come over. Kate's side of the screen, 71%.
How dare you?
How dare I do that? 84% of Democrats, 74% of independents, and even a majority of Republicans. When you can get a majority of Republicans to agree with majority of Democrats, you know that the pain is being felt by the American public right now.
Yeah.
Because look, let me show you how they're trying to sell this stuff. And at this point, they're not even like good at the fraud. Maybe a few months ago, they were a little more polished with their kind of Trump fraud.
They weren't polished with it, Ben. You know what they were? They weren't in our face. You see, right now, it's one thing. Ben, if I say to you, are the cost of diapers up? And you turn around and go, yeah. When baby was first born, let's say they were $12 for a pack, and now they're $20. Because you're paying it. You feel it in your wallet. You feel it. All right. When at the end of the month, you're trying to figure out how much you have left over in order to put away for the next month or, to pay for your medication. You can't lie to people about what they know, what they're experiencing day in and day out. And if you watch what Harry Enton was saying there, all right, where legitimately every single sector is up, you can't escape it. So spare me this bullshit on eggs prices being down 60% and so on. And they have to add more stuff. So they say energy prices are down. Energy is not down. Neither are groceries. None of it is. And you know it. They can't lie to you about what you know, what you're experiencing every single day.
Let me show you what they're trying to do. Here's MAGA Republican Congress member Tom Emmer. Here he was on the morning shows. Let's show you.
Understand this, and tell me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that you said in the White House, it said that China was going to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans from the United States by January. We're now just about a month and a half away from that. They have, according to the U.S.
midterm elections, Congressman. I mean, now everybody's talking about affordability. Are you going to be able to convince the American people that, in fact, costs are coming down? Do you want to see President Trump cut tariffs at this point on some of the things that he's talking about? He said he's going to start cutting tariffs on certain things like coffee from Brazil, et cetera.
Groceries are down. Gas is at a 5-year low that you put in your car, Maria.
Yeah, that's good.
And you still have the permanent tax policy that will take effect in January. No taxes on tips. No taxes on overtime. No taxes on Social Security. These are the marquee items that Donald Trump ran on that have actually been delivered. And look.
Yeah.
That ain't working no more.
Tell us more, right? Because everything is down, right? And then this idiot is sitting there. We just saw how much groceries are up. What is 68%?
No, that's how people feel. 68% feel that the price is higher, but the groceries are up.
Not according to this genius.
Yeah, people feel that way because it is that way. The objective facts are that these things are more expensive, and Donald Trump's campaign was based on the promise that he would lower prices on day one. That was his promise. That's what, among other horrific things, but that's one of the things that he won the election on. So you can't then be upset when the American people say, that's why we voted for you. Unfortunately, I don't know why people would be conned and defrauded so easily by that, but you can't get upset when people are like, that was your promise. Or when Donald Trump said, I promise I'll bring peace to Ukraine in 24 hours, and then doesn't, and then says, but I did 8 other wars I should get credit for, and just makes up 8 wars that he didn't solve, and he claims that he solved 8 wars. It's ridiculous. Let me show you this. It was the other clip that we were playing. This is Brooke Rollins. And she was asked about the fact that China has only purchased 300,000 metric tons of soybeans, when Trump was claiming that they were going to purchase 12 million metric tons of soybeans, and he was spiking the football. What a great deal I did, except when you compare it to Biden, who under Biden, China was buying 27 million metric tons of soybeans. So 15 million more metric tons of soybeans were being bought when Biden was in office. There were no export controls over rare earth elements when Biden was in control, when Biden was in charge. And there wasn't drama. There wasn't QAnon posts every morning and tantrums and ranting and raving at all. There was maybe from Donald Trump while he was undermining Biden at every step of the way. But that's just the reality. So Brooke Rollins is asked, hey, didn't you say that China was going to do this order of 12 million metric tons? And you told us this was a great deal, even though it's still 15 million metric tons less than Biden. Here, play this clip.
Understand this, and tell me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that you said in the White House, it said that China was going to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans from the United States by January. We're now just about a month and a half away from that. They have, according to the USDA report, only made two big purchases, and they total in total 332,000 metric tons. How is that pledge, if that is a real pledge, and China has not confirmed that pledge, going to be made in that quick a time?
Andrew, thank you. We're actually about 1.5 million metric tons, but your point is still salient, right? That 1.5 million of 12 million, we've got a significant way to go. I know they are inking the deal this.
Yeah,
I know they are inking the deal.
You know when, Ben? You know when the deal is going?
When are they going to ink the deal? I thought it was in May.
No. You know when?
2 weeks.
Exactly. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. The deal's going to be inked. And remember, every other day there's a headline about, every day there's a headline about some new deal, whether it involves China, whether it involves Ukraine, whether it involves Gaza, and it's a fake deal. It's totally made up, just like 90 deals in 90 days. I mean, there's so many things out there that even when it's exposed as an utter total fraud, the media then goes back and they're just like, Donald Trump announced a deal today. Wow. And it's like, stupid? Are you just stupid? Like, it's how I look like, you freaking stupid. And it's really less than that. I mean, it's that they're complicit. I don't know if it's less or more. It's that they're complicit in it. But it's like, just stop with this annoying stuff. Just think about it. If I told you, I guarantee you 90 deals in 90 days, and I did 6 fake deals, and my job was to do 90, and I did 6 fake ones and then destroyed the economy, I should be fired. Like, where's the uproar? Oh, you just promised that. What about the Doge dividend checks? Total, $23 trillion? I brought in $23 trillion? It's like, no, you didn't. It's just a bunch of dumbness. And it's not Democrat, Republican, independent. It's dumb and it's idiotic and it's stupid, and people look at it and it's dangerous, and people look at it like, what the hell is even going on? You know, and then Cohen, it brings me to this last topic that I want to talk about before the 2-finger salute. And I just want to get your thoughts on it. We've covered it at length. Is, you know, this idea that Lindsay Halligan, who was never appointed the right way, she was unlawfully appointed. There was already an interim United States attorney in Virginia. You only get one pick. Trump picked a Republican named Eric Siebert, who was liked by the judges, but because the Democratic senators liked him also and he wouldn't pursue the cases against Trump's political enemies, Trump got rid of his own guy, the guy that he picked, that Bondi, that his team picked, got rid of him and then put in Halligan. Then she made all those errors or intentional misstatements or lies, let's just call it what they are, in the grand jury room. We didn't even have to get to those issues. So you have those cases rightfully dismissed because it would basically be like taking the SAT exam and not putting your name on it.
Look, the bottom line that's going on here, Ben, is that process was not followed. You know, there's a process. It's like, you know, you put your underwear on before you put your pants on, right? I mean, that only makes sense. There is a process here, which she just, let me not even say her, the entire administration from Pam Bondi all the way down. All right. She should not have been appointed to the position. And the danger is not so much as Jim Comey or Tish James. They will refile that claim. And I don't know whether they'll do it in Virginia or they'll do it somewhere else. Or maybe they'll actually get somebody appointed quickly and over the course of the next 6 months. Because the case wasn't dismissed based upon facts or evidence. It was, again, dismissed because of process. That she is not the AG there. And any act that she took is improper. The danger is these are not the only two cases coming out of that office. What about the real criminals that now are going before the courts and saying there's no indictment? Anything with her name on it has no validity. And that's a real problem, especially if those people, right, have statute of limitations problems. Suffice it to say, we are not done with James Comey. We are not done seeing Tish James. Trump intends to keep this thing going, and he will not stop until it gets refiled. They just now have 6 months within which to do it.
Well, yeah,
Look,
the statute's expired under Comey, so we'll see what they do there. Under New York Attorney General Letitia James, they still have some time, but we know all of the defects there. So who the hell's going to go?
Well, there's a clause there where they actually can bring it back against James Comey because it's a procedural error, and that gives you 6 months within which to correct the record. That's the argument that they're going to base on. But Ben, you're 100% correct. The one against Tish James certainly will stand, along with obviously others that he's going for. You mind if I just give my
two finger salute? Because
it has to go to possibly the dumbest asshole of the last week, and that's going to Representative Maria Elvira Salazar. I mean, the fact that she could sit there and talk about engaging and bringing the United States to war so that the oil companies, which make like what, $5 billion a quarter, $20 billion a year, that they will benefit from our actions by going in and going to war with Venezuela. Seriously, that this is the way that you're going to fix America? You're going to make America more respected in the eyes of the world? Honestly, she could be the dumbest asshole of the week. And for that, Maria, you get the good old two-finger salute. Fuck you, moron.
Want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Cohen, you and I will discuss, but I think that we do our beatdown on Friday to make sure let's plan it, but let's probably do our next beatdown.
And let's do our Patreon right after it too.
Let's do a Friday thing.
Hey, we haven't seen you two. I know you're busy, but we want our Patreon time.
Oh, for sure. Everybody, we appreciate you. So go check out the @Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel, @The Michael Cohen Show. Check it out. Subscribe to his Substack, the Michael Cohen Substack. Subscribe to our Substack, the Midas Touch Substack. Go and check out the audio podcast, Mea Culpa. Wherever you listen to your audio podcast, just go and search Mea Culpa. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll keep on doing videos on the Midas Touch Network through the holidays, so you keep checking back. But we'll do our show on Friday. We'll do Beatdown on Friday.
Okay.
So we don't have to do it as a live show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We appreciate you. Shout out Beatdown Brigaders, and shout out Midas Mighty.
Boom.